When I first came into Science of Mind, I remember reading I believe it's in Living the Science of Mind, the essay that Ernest Holmes wrote called Peace, Poise, and Power. And in this essay, he talks about how when you are only focused on what is yours and you're standing in your spiritual authority, you have the capacity to create your own experience. Not so much in the manipulating of what happens in the material world, but because you get to decide how you show up for whatever happens. You get to choose to respond instead of react. You get to choose to stand in your own power. And I remember thinking, well, maybe some people, but I don't know that I'm ever going to be that person. A little bit fiery, redhead by choice for most of my life. And you know they're a little sassier when they pick it. It's true. I thought, I just cannot imagine myself leaning into grace in the way that Amy sings about it in that song. I sort of trump through life. You know, some people glide. I don't know that I've ever been a glider. I'm more of a skipper and maybe like bursting through doors, Kramer from Seinfeld style. And so this idea of living in a poised way, showing up in a grace-filled way, just felt like a neat idea for other people who are like that. And then somewhere else in his infinite pile of books, anybody else have like 57 Ernest Holmes books? I really do. It's quite the stack. He said, again, in a different way where I could hear it, that if you feel like you cannot make space for grace in your life, it's because you're holding on to what isn't yours. Ooh. Well, somewhere in my clumping through life, I also have managed to have like 2 laundry baskets full of stuff that may not be mine, dragging it all around the town. Perhaps you can relate. And I started to learn about this idea called letting go. Now, there's no way you haven't heard about letting go because Elsa, the queen from Frozen, beat it into all of our heads with the let it go. And yet, continually, every week, sometimes more than once a week, someone will come to me and say, I understand I need to let go, but I don't know how. I don't know how. It's so heavy on my heart. It's present in every breath. It's present in every conversation. It's present in my sleep. It's present in my inability to sleep. And this may feel familiar to you too. And we teach ways to let go. Reverend Karen has an amazing forgiveness class. The Dalai Lama and Archbishop Desmond Tutu wrote an amazing book on forgiveness. A friend of mine gave me a forgiveness book just last week that she'd read and thought that I would enjoy. It's not that we don't have access to techniques. I think there's something else going on here. And it's that there are multiple kinds of letting go. And no one process is going to get us there when it feels like it's talking about that thing over there that's foreign to me. So for my mini talk today, we're going to talk about different kinds of letting go and see if you can connect to one of those on something showing up in your life that you are ready to not feel heavy on your heart every day. I don't know if you've heard this, but you are a divine expression of the one. New news? I don't think so. And I haven't talked to the divine personally on this topic, but it seems unlikely to me that we were created to feel sad and heavy and in pain every moment of every day of this human life. And the Buddhists say, and I know because I live with one, that suffering is what happens in the incongruity between what is and the way we think it should be. This shows up for us in things like needing to try to control things that aren't ours. Speaking up in the middle of a workshop to see if maybe something shouldn't be 4 inches to the left. When really, we probably could have rolled with that. when we find ourselves holding on to what is supposed to be, especially when the next thought is, and I'm right. I'm right. It's supposed to be different. But what if we could just let it go? What if? When we're done talking about our ways of letting go, then Tina Blassie, our practitioner extraordinaire, is going to lead us through a burning bowl process to walk us through one of the beautiful ways we can access that energy of releasing. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about letting go as releasing. This is around things like anger, relationships that perhaps didn't do what we thought they ought to do, attachments. You know you're in this situation when you're having conversations with yourself, what you should have said, when it just feels heavy and you can't enjoy what you're doing because this thing is so present for you. Jack Kornfield, prolific writer in New Thought, said, to let go does not mean to get rid of. To let go means to let be. When we let be with compassion, things come and go on their own. I think of this kind of letting go as having a big, heavy rock and looking at it and saying, this is not my rock. The thing my ex-best friend did to me 7 years ago has left me with this rock to carry. And it's heavy and I'm tired and I'm going to lay it down. Now you'll notice I didn't say fix the rock. I didn't say lecture the rock. I didn't say organize the rock's life for them. Sometimes you just have to lay it down. And when we can do that with compassion, whether it's something our adult children are doing that have our hearts very nervous, or something here at the center. I mean, how many times have you felt yourself get pulled into discussing or organizing where somebody should stand or which piece of paper they should have in their hand? What if we just let it be? What if we just let it be? You know what the worst thing that can happen is? Somebody reads the wrong line of their script and people stand up and sit down again. And I'm fairly certain we all lived. What if we could just let it be? It's a setting down kind of letting go. And yet, somewhere out there, because I heard it in that place where ministers can read your minds, I heard, but I'm right. But is that making your life better? Right? Is it making your life better to hold on to that? Or could you lay it down? The second kind of letting go I want to talk about is letting go as surrender. Everybody take a breath. Go ahead and let us sigh out with noise. Oh, Reverend Les is going to talk about surrender, and it's my least favorite topic, and I hate it. I hate it. I did too. Because it sounds like giving up, quitting, being vanquished. There's no huzzah in being vanquished. I want to live a life of huzzah, not a life of, sad, trodden peasant. Here's the deal, though. I'm a little bit lazy. Maybe you can relate. And somewhere through all of this studying and learning and test taking and all the stuff that you have to do to go from being a congregant to being a congregant that gets to stand up here, is to center in on what I would call reality, the capital R reality, which is that from my human perspective, I'm relatively clever. I can see stuff. I'm a good pattern recognizer. I understand things to an extent. But there is an energy that can see every possibility, that can see into the hearts of every person, including me, that, as I like to say, that knows me better than anyone and loves me very much, that can see every potential connection point to bring about the release and relief that I seek for myself. And I can keep muscling through and not letting it be and trying to control it, or I can turn it over to the one energy that actually has access to all of the resources and all of the connections to actually heal that situation. It's an option. We can just give it over to the divine. Let yourself imagine what that would feel like if that heavy thing on your heart could just be handed over to an energy that you feel absolutely confident can take it from you in a way that is meaningful and bring healing forth. Sri Chinmoy said, a Buddhist master, obviously, he said, surrender is a journey from outer turmoil to inner peace. But we have to be willing to let go. We can't give it to God and then keep holding on to it. At least the God we believe in here in Science of Mind isn't going to grab the other end and pull it away from you. It's just like this all the time, ready for you to place that which you're ready to release in its arms. Sometimes I think of it like, okay, moms and some dads, I think you're going to be with me here. Have you ever looked at your kid and said, what's in your mouth? What's in your mouth? It might be a rock. It might be a bug. You don't know. Spit it out. Spit it out. I feel like God's doing that for us all the time. Nancy, what's going on? Spit it out. Give it over. We don't want to give it over because it's too messy. Too messy for the divine? Too messy for the infinite power that created all life? I don't buy it, friends. Spit it out. It's not supposed to be in there. And finally, I want to talk about letting go as a launching pad. So we know we need to let go when something is hurting our heart, right? And we know we need to let go when something is grinding us down. Doesn't mean we do it, but we know. But what about when we've got something really good, but it's in the way of the thing that's really great? A pretty good job that you like and you've done well and you feel safe in, but you keep seeing that glimmer across the horizon of that which is next for you, but you have to lay down what is now to be able to get there. I know for a fact there are people in this room that are in that process right now. And we all are sometimes. But it's hard to lay down a good thing, isn't it? It's hard to let go of something that has been joyful. But it happens with relationships sometimes. We outgrow one another. We define a happy life differently. Can you love yourself and the other enough to let go of the good, to make space for the great? It's part of creating that life. You know, Science of Mind has a big promise. Change your thinking, change your life. But you notice the order that comes in, right? Change your thinking, change your life. Change your way you show up, change your life. Change your willingness, change your life. The poet E.M. Forrester said, we must be willing to let go of the life we have planned so as to have the life that is waiting for us. At the end of a book, even a really, really good book, we close the book. Are you ready to close the book when it's your turn to open the next amazing chapter of your life? So from within this space of all these different kinds of letting go, letting it be, surrendering it to the divine, opening up for the next wave of brilliance, I invite you to allow to rise up within yourself something that you are ready to work toward letting go. And I'm going to turn you over into the beautiful and capable hands of Tina.
That's my darling. All right. Can you all hear me? It's the first time I've been mic'd up, so to speak, and it's like, wow, is this how rock stars feel? So bear with me while I just take a moment and get us set up over here. All right. The shiny burning bowl. So I don't know who has participated in something like this in the past. So I'm just going to briefly go over this, that this is an opportunity where we get to do letting go. This is sort of like the physical action of it, one of the ways we can do it. Reverend Leslie talked about the rock. This is a different way of doing it by just releasing something by writing it on a little piece of paper, and then you're going to bring it up and drop that paper into the bowl, and then we're going to light this bowl on fire, a controlled fire, and we're just going to let that whatever it was just melt back into the nothingness, as Ernest Holmes talks about, just letting it go. So, first of all, I want to find out, does everybody have a little piece of the paper that was handed in? If you don't, if you would stand up or wave your hand, and the ushers will get to you and give you one. I've got mine all ready to go here. So while they're receiving, so hopefully you have something in mind that you would like to release, maybe something that inspired you while Leslie was speaking, or something you came in with that you knew that you wanted to let go of. So what we're going to do is, in a few minutes, I'm going to cue Mr. for the music. We're going to take a couple of minutes and just write down what we'd like to release on that paper. Now, you're not going to be able to write an essay. It's not that big. The paper is just not quite that big. And then you're going to just come in, and you can fold it in half, in quarters. You can scrunch it, whatever you want to do, and just drop it into the bowl. So, and for those of you at home, I am going to drop in a blank piece of paper that, because we know that we are all of the one mind and that we're energetically connected, that whatever you are thinking you want to release will be released through that paper that I drop in for all of you at home. So I think that's all I've got to tell you about. So I think we'll go ahead and begin. So let's just take a couple of minutes. Let's just settle into what we think we would like to release. There should be pens in the chairs in front of you, and for those of you in the front, hopefully you can borrow one from somebody behind you. And let's just begin this process. And for those of you who are not feeling it, just know that you are in a safe, loving space, because you're never obligated, but always invited. right. Everybody feeling complete? Everybody got to do that? We're good to go? Okay. Thank you. The screen of protection. All righty. So I'm going to suggest that as we inhale, let's just thank whatever it is that we are releasing, because it did serve us. It got us here, right? And now we're just going to let it be, let it go. So that space that opens up in our hearts and our bodies and minds and soul can now receive more of that gorgeous grace that Reverend Leslie talked about, more of the goodness that life has to give us, because it wants to give us so much. Choking up. So let's just take this moment. Let's just inhale that release. And on the exhale, be filled with grace.
Oh, there went one. There went two. Screen now. Don't worry. They burn out before they hit. And together we say, and so it is. And so it is. And so let us just lock in what we have accomplished here. First with prayer, and then with a song by Daniel Nahmod to carry us into the new. So please join me in prayer. How good it is to be here, to stand witness for one another in this place of letting go, of opening up, so that we can walk into the new year empowered, emboldened, and absolutely filled with grace. What I know is that Spirit, even as these embers still twinkle in the burning bowl, that Spirit is already on whatever we brought in this morning, and that letting go is done, complete, healed, and opened up. Grateful, grateful I am, and so it is.
Bring it on, everything new, everything different, everything true. I am ready for my next thing to do. Oh, I know it's gonna be everything new. I'm through crying, I'm through waiting, I'm through hoping against all hope. I'm through longing for something gone that'll never return. Think I finally learned, so bring it on. Everything new, everything different, everything true. I am ready for my next thing to do. Oh, I know it's gonna be everything